Welcome to Reddit Echoes, where stories that sound fake turn out to be painfully, embarrassingly real. Today we've got 4 absolutely surreal tales. A stepmother screams and sobs, begging her stepkids to call her mom, only to get laughed at. A teenage boy exposes his father at the wedding for cheating on his dying mother. A wife gets jealous of her son's girlfriend for showing affection in the hospital. And finally, a bikini bottom becomes the unfortunate casualty in a war between IBS and a serious lack of boundaries. If you've ever thought, wow, my family is dysfunctional, just wait until you hear this episode. So grab your headphones, lock your door, and get ready to laugh or cry, because the people are real, the chaos is real, and the drama, oh, it's very real. Story 1. I laughed in my ex-husband's new wife's face, and no, I don't feel bad. I never thought the day would come when I'd laugh, actually laugh, while a woman sobbed and begged me over the phone. But after everything she's done to my kids, believe me, that laugh is the only thing keeping me sane. My ex-husband and I used to be the stable grown-up couple. We were both in our 40s. We had 3 kids together, a 16-year-old son, a 15-year-old daughter, and the youngest, a 14-year-old boy. But that stability shattered during my 3rd pregnancy. It was a high-risk pregnancy. Doctors told me absolutely no sex. And how did my husband react like a mature adult? He didn't. He slept with someone else. Correction, multiple someone else's. His reason: I have needs. You couldn't meet them. My translation: you're a human-shaped garbage fire. We divorced when the youngest turned 1, and because our communication was the emotional equivalent of handling grenades, I suggested an extremely detailed custody agreement. Down to the day, the hour. Basically an AITA manual, but for co-parenting with someone who slept with 3 different women while I was hospitalized. Soon after, my ex married one of those women. I call her his new wife, not out of respect, but because I don't feel like saying legally certified side chick. From day 1, she was awful to my kids. To their faces, she'd pretend to be sweet, like call me mom, or bonus mom. Behind the scenes, she'd snap, interrupt, or scold them for messing up her house. And yes, we've been back to court. 3 times. Every time she tries to weaponize the court system with tears and tales of infertility trauma. The truth: she once locked my daughter outside in the middle of winter because she wouldn't call her mom. I still have the security cam footage. The court didn't do much. A warning, a parenting class order. But no punishment ever stopped her from playing the role of saintly stepmother while treating my kids like they were inconveniences. My kids aren't stupid. They don't hate her, but they definitely don't respect her. They're polite just enough to get by. But behind her back, my oldest calls her mother dearest, and my daughter saved her number in her phone as Madam Not Mom. A year ago, all 3 kids hit the age where they could choose their own visitation schedule. Guess what? They dropped it from 50-50 to 1 weekend a month. My ex lost his mind. His wife cried like someone had stolen her last egg. Then came Mother's Day this year. They decided they wanted to reconnect with the kids by taking them to Disneyland. They booked hotels, bought tickets matching incredible family shirts, even had shirts printed that said Mom Number 2 with her name on it. My ex called me begging, can you convince them to go, please? For the kids, I didn't forbid it. I asked the kids, do you guys want to go to Disneyland? All 3 in unison. Nah, Mom, we'd rather study. I passed the message, hung up, turned off notifications, thought that was the end. Until I got a call from an unknown number. I answered. Nearly spilled my coffee because on the other end was full-on wailing. Why did you let them say no? They're supposed to be my kids too. They should be here. I did everything. I froze for 2 seconds. Then, I laughed. Not a polite chuckle, a full belly laugh. You want to force your way into motherhood with a Disneyland trip and some matching t-shirts? Are you for real? I laughed until my sides hurt. Then I said, maybe you should go to Disney alone. Who knows, they might offer a course in basic humanity. Then I hung up. I didn't tell the kids. But a few hours later, my daughter walked in holding her phone. A voice message was playing from the stepmom. "I just wanted to be your mom. You don't know what I've been through." My daughter looked at me and asked, "Mom, can I block her?" I nodded and handed her a cookie. My ex texted me a wall of crap. Stuff like "You're heartless. She loves them like her own. You're poisoning them." I took a screenshot, filed it in a private album on my phone titled "Poor You Boo-Hoo." Now I ask you, Reddit. Was I wrong for laughing in the face of a woman who treated my kids like garbage and then expected their love because of a Disneyland trip and a shirt that said "Mom number 2 R/style conclusion"? Being a mom isn't about forcing it. Want kids to love you. Simple. Don't be a jerk. Me, 0.5 buttholes. New wife, 3.55 buttholes, plus 1 bonus point for printing her name on a t-shirt without asking the kids. Story 2. I will never forgive my dad and the woman who stole my mom. I know it sounds extreme, but you'll understand once I tell you what happened. I'm a 17-year-old guy living in a family that, if I had to describe in one word, was toxic. And me, I'm no angel. But there are things I've said and done that I'll never regret. Especially this. Everything started when I was 10. That day was the day my whole world fell apart. My mom, the sweetest, kindest woman who used to bake cookies every Sunday night, found out she had a malignant brain tumor. And that same day, I repeat, the same exact day, she discovered my dad was cheating on her. With who? With the woman my mom once considered her best friend, Haley. Not a coworker, not a neighbor, but someone who used to sleep over at our house, laugh with my mom while watching Hallmark movies, someone she'd confide in about her marriage. About my dad. It was a double punch to the soul, and my mom collapsed. A few days later, she started having seizures. Doctors said the tumor was accelerating because of stress. I still remember the first time she had a seizure on the kitchen floor. She was cutting watermelon for me. The slice dropped. Her body started shaking. I screamed. And my dad. He was still living with Haley, still trying to explain things to my mom. And she forgave him. They said they'd get through this together. But how do you get through it when the woman who stole your husband lives just down the street? My mom died 5 weeks, 2 days, and 6 hours after her diagnosis. I counted every single hour. After the funeral, Haley moved into our house. Not long after, they had a wedding. Didn't even wait 3 months. And me, I ruined it. Not by barging in and yelling, but by playing a photo slideshow of my mom. One of the photos showed my mom smiling, hugging Haley. And the caption read, "Best friend, the one I trusted most." The room went dead silent. Haley cried. My dad got mad. And me, I smiled. My little sister and I never accepted Haley. She was only 8 at the time, but she followed my lead. When I called Haley the other woman, she repeated it. When I refused to eat family dinner, she put her plate down. We became this tiny resistance unit living under the roof of 2 traitors. They sent us to therapy. But no therapist can fix a kid who just wants their mom back. 4 years later, they had 2 more kids. Me, I didn't care. I never called them siblings, never touched their baby bottles, never joined family photos. I printed a photo of my mom and taped it to my mirror, blocked the rest of them out of my memory. And I never let Haley forget. Every time she tried to play the kind stepmom role, I brought up the past. "My mom died because you betrayed her," I once said in front of the neighbors right after Haley bragged, "My son is doing great in school." She told me to stop, that she already felt guilty, haunted, broken. And I looked her in the eye and said, "Good. That's what you deserve." Last week, one of her aunts passed away. Haley had to go out of town, and she told me I needed to help out around the house. "You're the oldest," she said. I turned to her and smirked. "I'm not your kid. I'm the result of the marriage you destroyed." Then I brought up the affair again, right in front of her biological children. Haley cried. She screamed that I was driving her insane, that I was ruining her ability to form relationships because I kept dragging up the past. She said, "I've apologized. I lost my best friend. I'm so haunted I can't even look in the mirror. What do you want from me?" I replied with just one sentence. "I want you to spend the rest of your life regretting it." My dad didn't say anything. He was used to me treating him like a ghost. But this time he texted my aunt to talk to me. She said, "You need to stop. Haley and your dad don't need forgiveness. But you're hurting the wrong people now, the two innocent kids." I looked her in the eyes and said, "I'm not making them suffer. But I'm not going to pretend everything's fine, like everyone else did. So now I ask Reddit, am I wrong for reminding the woman who tore my family apart that I'll never let her forget what she did? R/style conclusion. Want to be a stepmom? Start by not sleeping with your best friend's husband while she's dying. The past doesn't stay in the past. When you never truly apologized. Me. 05 buttholes, Haley and Dad. 45 buttholes with extra guilt and social isolation topping. Story 3. My wife got jealous of my son's girlfriend in the hospital. Yes, you heard that right. I don't even know where to begin. Some situations in life feel like they only exist in bad sitcoms. Until you find yourself in one, staring at your wife red-faced, gripping the steering wheel, muttering, "Didn't that little tramp make you uncomfortable?" And that's when you realize you're living in a moment so messed up Freud himself would rise from the grave and say, "Called it. I'm a 50-year-old man. I have a 17-year-old son. Great kid. Smart, polite, good-looking, thankfully takes after his mom." Life was normal. Until last week when some drunk guy plowed his pickup truck straight into my son's convertible. Which means steel, plastic. You do the math. Result. My son was hospitalized with a broken arm, fractured ribs, facial stitches, and a list of injuries longer than a buffet receipt. He's lucky to be alive. When we got to the hospital, my wife, 45, nearly fainted. My daughter sobbed silently. And me, I held it together and called my son's girlfriend a 17-year-old girl I genuinely adore. She's respectful, thoughtful, and cares for my son like she was born to be a caregiver. She dropped her shift, ran straight to the hospital, still in her fast food uniform, smelling like fryer grease, and rushed into the room. She threw her arms around my son, crying, kissing his forehead, his cheeks, and finally his lips. And me, I almost cried too, because for a brief moment I saw my little boy being loved properly, the kind of love every father hopes his son finds. But my wife, she stood there like a damn statue. Her face turned from red to purple, and I knew this wasn't over. That night driving home, she stayed silent. Until she exploded. "You're seriously okay with that?" Kissing him in the hospital. In front of his parents, I was grossed out. I turned to look at her, absolutely stunned. "Are you serious right now? Our son nearly died. That girl dropped everything and spent hours holding him, feeding him, comforting him. So what, she was all over him like they're married or something? He's 17. How could you let that happen?" I tried to stay calm. "Are you jealous of your son's girlfriend?" "I'm not jealous. I just think it's inappropriate." "Oh, right. Not jealous. Just emotionally reacting in a way that's 99% indistinguishable from jealousy." And she kept going. "You should have said something. You're the adult. You should have stopped it. They're not married." So I said, "Do you know anyone who waits until they're married to comfort their partner after a car crash? This isn't a charity gala. It's a hospital." She went quiet, but I knew it wasn't the end. The next morning, I'm shaving in the bathroom. She walks in and slams down a printed article, a definition of emotional boundaries in family environments. What the hell, I laughed. Then I got mad. "You seriously think our nearly dead son who just survived being hit by a drunk driver shouldn't be allowed to feel loved by his girlfriend because you felt grossed out?" Tears welled up in her eyes. You always side with everyone else. I'm your wife. I feel like I don't matter anymore. And here's where I said the thing most men are too scared to say. You're not forgotten. But you need to understand. Not everything revolves around your feelings. Sometimes the right thing is letting other people grieve, be loved, and heal, even if that makes you uncomfortable. She left the room. So now I ask Reddit, was I wrong for not stopping my son's girlfriend from kissing him after he nearly died in a car crash just because my wife felt weird about it? R/style conclusion, you don't get to choose when someone deserves love. And if you're jealous of your son's 17-year-old girlfriend, maybe the problem isn't the girl. Me, 5 buttholes. My wife, 5 buttholes plus 1 bonus point for printing out an emotional boundary PowerPoint at 7 a.m. Story 4. My friend borrowed my bikini and returned it with a gift from her lower intestine. I don't think I'm a picky person. I'm chill, easygoing, reasonable. But there's one thing I firmly believe should be a universal human standard. If you borrow someone's clothing and leave behind bodily evidence inside it, you should pay for it, apologize, and be so embarrassed you move to another state. I'm 19, just got back from a girls' trip to Miami with my close friends. We rented an Airbnb, hit the beach, got tipsy, and took Instagram pics like wannabe influencers with 0 following. One of the girls in the group was Mia, 21, a longtime friend of mine, and the only one who forgot to pack a bikini. No big deal, I'm a planner. I brought several, but there was one set I especially loved. A pastel pink, 2-piece, ultra-thin, buttery soft fabric from a boutique so overpriced I had to live on instant noodles for a week just to afford it. Mia saw it and asked if she could borrow it. Now I hesitated. For 1 second. Because I remembered Mia once told me she had IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. But then I thought she's an adult. She'll be careful. It'd be rude to say no. So I said, sure. That day went fine. Mia wore the bikini, took about 749 photos, posed like a Victoria's Secret angel with mild digestive distress. And that was that. At the end of the trip, she returned the swimsuit. Me, being a trusting idiot, didn't inspect it. I rolled it up and tossed it in my suitcase. Until I got home, did laundry, and saw the stain. Not a faint mark. Not a slightly discolored patch. No, this was a very visible light brown streak dead center of the bikini bottoms. Right where, you know. I stood frozen in front of the washer like a horror movie protagonist, discovering their mom was bitten by a zombie. I washed my hands, my eyes, my soul. Then I texted Mia. Hey, there's a weird stain on the bikini bottoms. You know anything about that? She replied in 3 minutes. Oh, sorry. I was feeling a little off that day. I did wash them, but I guess the fabric's too thin. A mark. A mark. That wasn't a mark. That was a DNA signature. A mission statement from her colon. A distress signal from her large intestine. So I texted back, cool. So you're gonna replace the whole set, right? Because nobody wears half a bikini to the beach. She replies, I'll just replace the bottoms. The top's still usable. I said it's a matching set. They're a pair. You don't wear the top with jeans. Then she gets pissed. You're being unreasonable. You knew I had IBS when you let me borrow it. You should have accepted the risk. Wait. Accept the risk. This isn't a medical liability waiver. I didn't sign up to be a casualty of your internal plumbing malfunction. I told a few of our other friends. And guess what? Some of them sided with Mia. You let her borrow it, so it's kinda on you. It's not her fault she's sick. She didn't mean to do it. I feel like I woke up in an alternate universe. Here's the deal. If you borrow someone's clothes, defile them with human waste, and then respond with a half-hearted sorry and offer to only replace half, are you a decent person? My answer, no Mia's answer. But I washed it. So I ask Reddit. Am I wrong for asking my friend to replace the entire bikini set after she left her butt's business card in the bottoms, r/style conclusion. There are things you're allowed to leave at the beach. Sand shells regrettable fashion choices, but absolutely not. Poop. Me 05 buttholes. Mia 1.5 of 5 buttholes plus 0.5 for sending the poop stain apology with a sad face emoji. And that's all for today on Reddit Echoes, where drama always has a seat at the table and truth is almost always stranger than fiction. Who do you think deserves to be blocked from existence the most in today's lineup? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're keeping score on every butthole rating handed out. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss an episode. Because next time, you might just hear your own story being told here. Thanks for listening. And remember, never let anyone borrow your favorite bikini. Don't sleep with your wife's best friend. And if you find yourself jealous of your son's girlfriend, drink some water, take a walk, and seriously rethink your entire vibe. See you next time on Reddit Echoes.